Hello, this is Billy Core from the Carolina Circle Mile Wiki. Today is Sunday, March the 1st of 2015, and we are yet again with the Packard Bell PB 1750 CDT. I did a video yesterday showing it running Windows 3.1, and we played a few games with it, and overall it's a great little 486 system. But for this particular video, we're going to be hypothetical about a few things. First of all, I'm sure most of you have heard the story of my first computer, which is right over here, the Packard Bell Legend 822 CDT. 100 megahertz Pentium processor, 1.2 gigabyte hard drive, 16 megabytes of RAM, and all that good stuff. My dad bought this in December of 1995. And this isn't the exact same one we got, but this is the same model, and believe me, it took me years to find this. So when I found it 2 years ago, I was so happy, and I still am. But my dad bought this in December of 1995 for the entire family, with the two people using it the most being him and myself. I was 6 years old at the time when this happened. And so this was pretty much our all-around computer that we used for everything. We did not have any other computers at the time. This was it. So, I got to thinking, hypothetically, what would it have been like if my dad in December of 1995 had not only gotten this Legend 822 CDT, but also bought me my own personal Packard Bell to call my very own at the end of 1995, beginning of 1996. Obviously, that never happened, and for good reason. I was only 6 years old. I mean, in 1995, having your own computer at the age of 6 was completely unheard of, including around here. But I used this 822 at the time so much that it was practically my computer. But we're being hypothetical here. What if my dad, at the same time as buying this Packard Bell here, had bought a second one to give to myself, to use for my stuff, to have in my bedroom or something? Well, it obviously would have been a much more budget-oriented model, because you're not going to buy a 6-year-old a state-of-the-art Pentium desktop for $2,000 like this one. So my dad would have gotten me a bargain basement model Packard Bell. And I am led to believe if that had happened, it would have been a model just like this Packard Bell here, the PB 1750 CDT. Now, this was manufactured in September of 1995, incidentally the exact same month this particular 822 was manufactured. So, both of these computers are pretty much the same age. However, this was pretty much as top of the line as they got, whereas this was just about as bottom as the line as you could get in the later part of 1995, with this being a 486 instead of a Pentium. However, despite it only being a 486, this originally shipped with Windows 95. And we saw it yesterday, not only running Windows 3.1, but the 1994-1995 software pack. Originally, this particular system came with Windows 95 and the 1995-1996 software package that we see on Packard Bells like the 822. So, of course, nowadays I'm using this as my Windows 3.1 machine, but since I have a CF card slot in here, yesterday I got curious. What if my dad had bought me a Packard Bell like this at the end of 1995 to call my very own? What would it have looked like software-wise? Well, I took one of my Windows 95 Packard Bell Master CDs and restored it to a spare CF card, and I found out what it would have been like if this had been my own personal computer in 1995 or 1996. Now, I did eventually get my own computer to call my own in the year 2000 when I was 10 years old, that being a never obsolete e-machine running Windows 98. Oh, that thing was so evil. But anyway, back to the subject at hand. I got the Windows 95 CF card in here, so let's go ahead and fire it up and see what it would have been like if this had been my computer to call my own in 1995, 1996. Switch on the KVM to the right input. This also only has 8 megabytes of memory in it, and this also would have originally had a 450 megabyte hard drive. Very, very small for that time. We're putting into Windows 95 now. Again, this was all hypothetical. This never really was my computer in 1995. Because we were not that rich to buy 2 computers back then, especially at the same time. As you can see, it's a little sluggish. Wouldn't be surprised if a lot of that had to do with the lack of memory. It only has 8 megabytes of memory in it right now. But like I said, this is not permanent. This is only for experimentation. This computer will only be running Windows 3.1 for most of the time that I have it. And I really don't have anything installed on here. We'll go into System Properties. Let's see here. It's showing up as an 8486. It's odd seeing that in Windows 95 to me. A lot of people did run Windows 95 on a 486 back in the day. We were not one of them, actually. Device Manager. Usual stuff. Do a quick Canyon test. And we can open up Packard Bell Navigator. This is, unlike yesterday, this is the newer version that we're more familiar with. This is version 3.5, so it'll be something we're familiar with, because this is actually what this computer originally shipped with, if you can believe that. Like I said, this is a very late model 486 for Packard Bell. Very bargain basement, probably, for late 1995. See, it's taken a while to load up. We'll get there eventually, folks. Don't worry. I've done this before. Hard drive LED is just flashing away. Ah, here we go.
Welcome from Packard Bell. We offer you 2 computing environments to choose from: Packard Bell's Navigator or Microsoft Windows. You may also begin by taking a quick lesson on using the mouse.
Speaking of mice, I had a very, very tough time getting Windows 95 restored from the master CD onto this particular machine. It would restore just fine, but when it would try to start Windows 95 for the first time, the whole system would just lock itself up. And it was driving me crazy trying to figure it out. So I just had this crazy idea, why not try a different mouse? Guess what? That did it. It was this Microsoft optical mouse here from the early 2000s that wasn't agreeing with the Packard Bell restore process. So I unplugged this mouse and plugged a different mouse in, and it was able to complete the restoration successfully. And once it was done, I just hooked this back up. The reason I use this optical mouse here is because, well, for one thing, I don't have a mouse pad here, and I also have my Compact Desk Pro EN hooked up to this setup, so I kind of prefer to use something a little bit newer for that machine. So, anyway, here's Navigator, pretty much same old stuff we always see, just slower. Yeah, you can see why I'm going to stick with Windows 3.1 on here. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. I have my suspicions the slowness isn't process related. It might be memory related. But believe it or not, Packard Bell did ship a lot of systems in 1995 of only 8 megs of memory. We were lucky enough to have one with 16 megs, and that did just fine. So let's try out a game that I would have played at the time. Tortoise and the Hare from Living Books. Double speed CD-ROM, by the way. It's the only thing. This is, by the way, the only game I have installed on here.
Aesop's, the Tortoise and the Hare.
Yeah, it's running pretty well. This game, at least.
Welcome to Living Books. I'm the tortoise.
And I'm the hare. And this is the story of how I beat him in the race. It all began.
Okay.
I love cutting them off like that. I got this game for Christmas in 1995.
Good evening.
Christmas
I'm
Day.
Simon, your storyteller.
And it's the same CD, too.
Tonight, I'm gonna tell you one of Aesop's famous fables. Are you ready? Here we go.
I'm ready to find out why you're only wearing shoes and nothing else. I know you're a bird, but if you're going to wear shoes, then why not wear a whole wardrobe while you're at it?
This is the story of the tortoise and the hare. The tortoise was a friendly fellow who moved at his own slow pace.
Good morning, birds.
The hare was a busy person who was always on the move.
I remember I tried imitating that gurgling noise when I was about 6 years old. I actually got in trouble for doing that. Let's do my favorite part of this page.
What?
And it gets even better, folks. Watch what happens when you click it again.
Hey, hare.
Huh?
Did you forget to recycle that newspaper?
All right.
This was the 90s when recycling was a really, really big deal for everyone. But you get the point. And by the way, quick little tip, if you want to get out of these Living Books games a lot quicker than just going through all those menus, just do Alt F4. It's as simple as that, folks. Go ahead and take that back out there. So yeah, that's basically what it would have been like if, at the end of 1995, if my dad had not only bought this Legend 822 CDT for himself, but also bought me my very own Packard Bell, which could have been something like the PB 1750 CDT. Now, of course, that never did happen, because, well, that would have been extremely expensive to buy two brand new computers all at once in 1995. Because, you know, I've always said that computers in the 90s were like television sets in the 50s. No family owned two computers. So, however, like I mentioned earlier, this Legend 822 CDT right here, I used it so much back then that it pretty much was my computer. Anyway, in fact, only 2 days after we got this computer, my dad specifically told me that no matter what, I was always welcome to use this computer anytime I wanted. And I was only 6 years old at the time, so basically, even though I was only 6 years old, my dad granted me access to an entire computer system. So, thanks to him, I was able to do all this stuff with a computer and learn so much. And I owe a lot of that. I owe a lot of what I am today to my dad allowing me to do so much with that Legend 822 CDT. So, yeah, I am very, very grateful for that. But for now, this is Billy Core signing off.